Welcome back, puppies, to Barking Dogs Miniature Painting Video. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can support us on Patreon. Today we're going to be painting up some lesser demons from Redbox Games. And here I'm using about 2 parts clear purple to 3 parts dark elf shadow. Used a red primer for the base, because later we're going to be giving it a blue tint, and I just want as much purple to come through as possible. I wanted it kind of a dark purple. And again, we're not using real opaque, dense paints, so in theory the light should still be reflecting back off the primer, and the paint that we're laying down is actually just kind of acting as a filter. And there's about 5 of these lesser demons. Okay, so here for the mid-tone, we're just going with straight dark elf skin. Here we've got kind of some dark elf highlight. I think it was 2 parts dark elf highlight to 1 part vampiric skin. And of course some Vallejo airbrush thinner. And that dark elf shadow and dark elf highlight, the vampiric skin, and the clear purple are all Reaper Miniatures paints from their MSP line. And this footage is sped up. I'm basically doing the same thing that I did in the Red Skin Tiefling videos. So we just sped the footage up here a lot quicker. Because it's a very similar process. We're just working with different colors. And here I'm applying that midnight blue ghost tint. You know, I mentioned earlier the blue tint, and this is it right here. So you can see where I squirted it on my glove there, sprayed it, I should say, on my glove there a moment ago. It's very dark blue, but very transparent. Or translucent, I think would be the correct word. These guys were a blast to paint, all their muscles, and the fact that they're all in different poses. So again, here for the highlights, we're just going in and mixing some vampiric skin tone with the dark elf highlight. And if the highlights look super vibrant when you put them down, just keep in mind, once the paint dries, it's never as vibrant as it is when it's wet. It always kind of dulls down a little bit. But if it's ever a little too dull, you can always just kind of make a glaze or make a translucent paint of your own to glaze over it and knock it back down. And you just do that by basically mixing in a bunch of water, or you could use airbrush thinner and just mix it down with the paint with a heavier ratio of your thinner or your water to your paint, and just really thin it out. In which case, if you were doing that here, you would want to go back to whatever was probably your mid-tone or the darker of the 2 colors that you mixed to get the highlight, which here would be the dark elf highlight. Again, these guys are just a lot of fun to paint, and they're all in different poses, so the highlighting's a little different. The arms will be similar, like for some of these poses, but like on this guy, you know, most of his belly's kind of covered there, and he's only got 1 pec that's really showing. This guy has got a lot more of his belly showing, so when we get to that, we're only going to be highlighting like the top of his belly. We're not going to bring it down even as far as his belly button. We actually stop a little bit before that. Here we're just getting the tops of those muscles right near the creases. And there's sometimes you can see me wipe away like fresh paint with my finger because it's wet enough that I can literally just wipe it off with my finger. Sometimes I do that just lightly so it'll actually dull it down a little bit. I just kind of pick up some excess paint. And here we go with the belly. We want to be careful. We don't want to bring it down too far. So we kind of want to be mindful of where the light stops. And that's one of the things that using the airbrush really helps in painting literally from the top of the model down, that kind of zenithal approach, because we already have our color transitions blocked in for us real good there. These guys are very inspirational. They just bring up a lot of interesting ideas for throwing them at player characters. I think I'm going to be having some fun with them later. I'll probably make up some Dungeons and Dragons stats for him, put him somewhere between something like a demon and a goblin, but you know, something more goblinish and less impish, I guess. And see, even with that sculpt, the way his back muscles are flexed a little bit different. They got a little slightly different highlight than some of the other ones we were doing. Here, some of his belly gets highlighted. And the cool thing about this guy is, like, especially if we go back and compare him not to the last guy, but the guy before that, with the guy before that, the one with the spears that had his belly poking out. This guy, not only does he have a smaller belly, but like his shoulders and his head are actually just forward more. So of course his belly's going to be in some more shadow. So we're not even putting any highlights at all on his stomach. Even the guy right before him that was, you know, holding the large morning star, had some of his belly showing, but the way this guy's pose is, he's kind of leaned out a little bit over his own stomach there. And there you have it. Here we're just coming back and doing some touch-ups. Because this guy's fabric, we're not going to do a whole lot of the muscle highlighting on him. He does have some exposed parts there. Even though these videos are focusing on the skin, so I didn't really go over the fabric and the weapons and the horns that much. They're horns because I didn't really want the horns to stick out too much. I wanted them to be predominantly black. I actually only highlighted them once. And here we go. Here's some snapshots of the finished product. Again, these are lesser demons from Redbox Games. And they were a blast of paint. So we do have definitely a gray-purple skin tone going on with these guys. Subsequent videos I'll get more into some other purple tones and some more grayish tones. If you like the work you saw in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm available for commissions at facebook.com, Barking Dogs Miniature Painting. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Barking Dog Studio. Patreon members get discounts on commissions and credit at the end of videos. Special thanks to the Clarks for their continued support. Bark on, puppies.